Today I'm gonna go over my new Black Widow PCH bow build. So in this video, I'm just gonna go over my whole build and just show you how I put together a trad bow. To begin, here is my custom riser. So this is the PCH with Osage wood. And then I got a green glass stripe through the center, and then on this pinstripe on the back edge. I just love green and yellow together. I think it's such a cool color. And then when the Osage darkens to that honey brown color, I think it's gonna look even better. And then I got the riser cut in to allow for a springy rest or just an elevated rest. I want this bow to be as accurate as possible, so that'll give me a lot of forgiveness. And then it's also tapped for a springy rest, so it has a thread bushing in there, so I'll be able to add that springy. I also did thumb screws, which you can add it to any takedown of the Black Widows, but the thumb screws are awesome because you don't need an Allen wrench, so you can take apart your bow anytime you need. Don't have to worry about carrying around a Allen wrench. Then lastly, I went with the cooling grip, which is new to me. So it's a low wrist and it's flat back, which is, to me, is gonna be super repeatable. So I'm super excited to try that out. I typically go with, this is my other PCH riser, but I typically go with the low wrist on all my bows, but I really decided to try the cooling grip since it's a little bit flatter. Yeah, I think they're both awesome. I think this is a little more rounded, the low wrist, so I think the flatter back will just be a little bit more repeatable, but I've never had trouble with the low wrist, just something new to try. Next are the limbs. So I did all Osage veneers on them. I love Osage. You can make it super plain or it can have a lot of figure, so that's why it's really cool. Did custom green glass on the limb tips just to add a little green to it. And then on the overlays, I did some customization on that as well. So they're the arrowhead shaped overlays. And then I had them put green glass under that Osage overlay to help outline it. And I think that just looks awesome. Adds that little bit of green in there. And then for the engraving, I did an iron will broadhead because those are special to me. And then did get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's a good motto for life in general and especially hunting. And then the deer is actually my biggest buck I've killed with a trad bow. And that's its actual European mount. So I got that engraved on there as a good reminder. And then most important part, the specs. So these are 60-inch limbs, so it'll be a 60-inch bow on the PCH. And then 41 pounds at my jaw length, which is 26 inches. So just gonna be a good, accurate, fun bow to shoot. Good, it's a heavy enough poundage to hunt with, but I could shoot a lot of shots with it still. All right, so the first thing I like to do is take my top limb and install my quiver. I always go with the slide-on quivers. I think these are just the bomb. They're, I mean, indestructible. I went with the Selway plastic hood. This is just vintage and I think it's so cool. And it matches my green glass, so it should be perfect. Biggest thing here is just putting it on correctly on the right side. And then I do cover usually the tip of my overlay. It's usually how far I can get them on. I just discovered a great way to do this. If you have like a bino harness or something hard, you just push it on like that. Basically, I just try to get it past the fade out on there where it's tight. So you can see it's covering my overlay just a little bit, but I'd rather it be on there super good. So there's the top one. And then the bottom one needs to go this way. So this is how I did it. Put them on about the same. Oh yeah. Yeah, so there's that. Easy as that. Alrighty, limbs are done. So next I'm gonna take these thumb screws off. Whenever I travel, I'll screw them in this because that's what Paul Schaefer did. He's definitely the best bow hunter ever. Okay, so now I'll put the limbs on the actual handle. I haven't even done this yet, so this is exciting. Dang, that looks so good. I lost my thumb screws. Oh, they're there. I've never had these, but yeah, they're pretty flush with that bushing there too. Confirmed they fit Oh, that looks so good. That's awesome. This thing is already awesome. Okay, there's that. Those don't move at all, actually. Hand tight. I don't think I'm gonna worry about it. We'll see. But there it is, built. Yeah, that looks amazing because you can see that overlay green stripe there too. I know looks don't matter, but I kind of love that. So now my bowstrings. When you get a Black Widow, you get a string, which I keep it as a backup, but I always go with the Mountain Muffler bowstrings. I love his strings and they've always been so perfect for me. So, oh, another thing he does, he has limb mufflers, which I now get all the time. And those are awesome for quieting the bow. They're right here, so they actually lay on the limb, and then I get his wool muff balls there too. And then I always go with buckskin and yellow string. I think that's awesome. I love yellow for some reason. So on this, you can see my spec card here. He sends this, which is awesome. I always tape them to the inside of my little toolbox, and that way I always just know. But I went with 3 inches shorter than my overall length. So I want to see how that comes out right off the bat for brace height, and then see how far it settles. You'll have that initial settle because the string hasn't been on an actual bow stretching. So you'll have the initial settle and then an actual stretch. Typically I only see like an 1/8 inch of stretch with his strings. So that's awesome. I did 81-25. It's apparently 16 strands, 57 inch. But yeah, it's all the good stuff there. So here's a string. Now I'm going to string it up right now. Looks great. Oh yeah, that's a lot of yellow. That looks awesome though. All right, let's see what the brace height came out to. So once again, string is 3 inches shorter than my AMO. So brace height is 8.5, not bad. So I should have got it a little shorter because I like to start brace height on these. Well, that actually puts it right in the middle, so that actually is perfect. Brace height on the PCH, they recommend 8 to 8 3/4. I always set it at 8 3/4 to begin. So I'll add twist to that to get my starting brace height. Okay, so I added some twists, and then I also put in the spider silencers that come with the Widows. And that's what I do basically for my silencing. So I'm gonna string it. And brace height. Everything looks good. Yeah, I overdid a little. It's at 8 7/8, but we'll just leave it there for right now because it will need to settle. You definitely don't want to shoot it over that, which is fine. I'm gonna draw it. I haven't even drawn it yet. Yeah. Awesome. It is super smooth. The grip feels great as well, so perfect. Now we're gonna do the springy. So I ordered my springy from Safari Tough, and then it comes with the shrink tube for silencing. And this thing is super simple. It's literally thread, nut, and your actual spring. I'm gonna start with the 20-pound spring, but I might go up to the 25 later on. So literally, it's just gonna thread through here, and then I can put my spring on. So my spring's on, and now I'll have to cut this down a little bit, but I can adjust this in and out. What I'll do now is tighten up the nut so that doesn't come undone at all, and then I can loosen this and adjust the angle of that to the actual arrow shaft. So what I did here was I marked half with my bow square, set my arrow there because that's probably where it's going to be. I'm going to cut this springy where it goes up to about midway up the arrow shaft is how I'm going to start it. So I cut down the springy and then put the provided shrink tube on there, and that's what it looks like. Now I'll put it back on the rest, get my arrow. I'm going to put it straight down the string, start there, and then I can adjust it, and then get it the height where the tip of this is about the middle of the arrow shaft. So there's what it looks like. And then when I have my arrow on there, about midway, and then the center shot, probably can't, let's see. It's actually a little left of center. Just barely, it's hard to tell. But if you line it up with that limb bolt, that's how I'm doing it, just for a reference. So now I'm gonna tie the nock points. So I put my bow square in, and then I put the bottom of the square where the bottom of the arrow touches, which is about right there. And then I just Sharpied the 1/2 inch mark. So I'm gonna start it at a 1/2. I'm gonna tie the nock point where it is movable. So this is what I use for nock point serving BCY 3D. It's the best I've found, perfect diameter, and you can get it in a bunch of different colors. I try to do bright colors for my nock point. Literally all I do is overhand knots. And this is gonna be a movable, so you don't wanna tie them tight. So, not super loose either, just snug, I guess you could say. But I'm gonna put, when it's a movable nock point, you don't wanna put that many. So you wanna do, I'd say 4 knots on the top, like I'm doing here. So there's 4, or that's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Then this is 3. Three on the bottom. There's 4. Literally just overhand knots. And this always has worked so good for me. When I do my permanent nock set, the trick is to do 6 on top, 6 on the bottom. And it'll be a little bit longer, and that'll really hold it in place. But that's what I'm gonna do. And then on the last one, you're just gonna do a square knot. And then I take a lighter. Oh, it's so windy, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Well, what I'll do is I'll take my lighter and burn that. So it's the next day. I just wanted to show the difference between my 2 setups. So this is the KB 54 inch, so you could see the difference there. So there's the difference there. Length difference, when you put it like that, it doesn't look like a huge difference, but when you put the limb tips on the bottom side flush, then yeah, there's a length difference, of course. So this is a 54, this is my 60. This is Osage wood, so you can see how much it ages, which is really neat. So this is my white-tailed turkey, probably like hog hunting type setup. I just love this thing, and I'm gonna do a video later on talking about how I like my KB after 2 years of having it. So there's a KB, PCH, KB's a 1-piece, PCH 60 inch. So in the summertime, I like to shoot with a clicker, a string clicker, just so I can train with it, and then in the fall, I can always take it off if I want. So what I'll do is I'll include the build on this clicker. It'll just be real quick, super simple. I like to customize it and paint it black. And then I'm using BCY D cord. I'm gonna try that. It's a little bit thinner than what I usually use. And then I just hot melt it onto the blade after I spray paint it black, just to make it look better. So I'll put, what I should do honestly is string my bow and then put the clicker on the actual limb, which will be super simple. I try to put it towards the top just so the cord is as short as possible. Hopefully you can see this, but I put it right up here. All right, so I'm gonna center it on my limb. Okay, so that's what it looks like. You can see it'll pull it at an upward angle like that. And then now I'm gonna put it on the draw board, and I draw at 26 inches, so the arrow at the front of the riser here at 26. I'll put it on that draw board and adjust that cord so it pulls exactly 26. Then I'll be good to actually shoot some arrows, which I'll do later today. So here it is, all done. Looks great. On the arrow build, I have these already built, so it's a 5mm Easton Axis 600 spine. I can typically go 600 or 500 with my arrows, but I'm gonna go 600 just so the arrow is as short as possible for a longer point on. I have a 4-inch parabolic left wing feather in a 3 fletch, and then 6-inch wrap with the AAE IP nock. And then on this end, iron wool components as usual, so 150 grain tip, 25 grain impact collar, and then a 100 grain 204 hit insert on the inside for 275 total up front. My total arrow weight comes out to about 494 grains. So I'm gonna shoot this with slow-mo, see how it does in flight, and then I can adjust my arrow or rest to get the best results. Alrighty, so it's been about 5 days since I shot this bow last. I had to go work at Total Archery Challenge and then a quick hog hunt. But I'm back and I have some new ideas now. So I went ahead and took my quiver off. I'm gonna actually shoot this without a quiver, tune it that way, and then if I do ever add a quiver, I'm gonna recheck that tune because it's probably gonna change it. So I'm gonna shoot it like that, we'll see what it sounds like. And then the other thing I changed was total arrow weight. I want a point on of about 30 yards, just because I just want to have more extended range that I can shoot accurately. So I changed the arrow setup a little bit. I'm gonna try the 600 spine. It's 26 5/8 of an inch, carbon to carbon. And then the tip weight is now 100 grain hit insert, 10 grain impact collar, and 100 grain point. So it's 210 total up front and 436 grain arrow. So it'll be a little bit flatter shooting. I should be able to get more distance. So now, and then my nock point is still 1/2 inch to start. So I'm gonna shoot this and we'll see what it sounds like and we'll go from there. Let's see how far this is. Kind of see the speed on it. About 22 yards. So I'm gonna go for this hog right here. Yeah, that's great. So the vibration's really nice. The sounds really nice from what I can hear. It's probably different when someone's standing next to me, when you're not the one shooting the bow. But second shot, the vibration and hold on it's awesome, just how I'd expect. I was aiming pretty low, so that's good for what I want my point on to be. And I want to shoot it a little bit more vertical. I can't a lot on my hunting bow. I'm going to try to shoot more vertical. That's going to be really similar to my KB. I'm already hitting where I want. Let's go back to 30. I'm just gonna go point on 30, see where it impacts. Ooh, I forgot. More vertical. Low, it's about in the belly. Let's go down there. So there it is, kind of in the leg. I'm gonna guess point on's probably 27 or 28 based off of that, but we could work with it. So now that I know kind of my baseline, I'm gonna just shoot the dang thing. I haven't really messed with tune, but the arrow flight does look really good. Once you get to a point where you have multiple setups, you kind of just know the trajectory if you make them all similar, so I'm not too concerned about that. We'll tune it here shortly And we have the springy, so that's gonna be really interesting. I just wanna shoot it and kind of just listen to it. A little bit right. Got more arrows now. This arrow is, let's see, 50 grains heavier, thereabout. It's definitely dropping quite a bit more. Looks like about 10 inches, 12 maybe. When the arrow slides across the springy, it sounds loud on camera, but it's really not that loud in person. Feels good. It feels like a target bow. So long and stable. I like it. So I'm just gonna do this for fun. These two arrows are decently flying good. Barred yellow is 485 grains. The flow yellow is 435 grains. So 50 grain difference at 30 yards. And I'm gonna be aiming at the black tape to keep the elevation or the point at the same spot, elevation wise. So here's 435. Fell on my hands. And 485. So there's the difference. Put a tape on it. Whoa. Yeah, that's what I saw in the deer too, about 10 inches. 10 inches at 30 yards, 50 grains difference. Shot it again, about the same. 30 yards, about 10 inches, 50 grain difference. So now I made the tip weight the same, so it's gonna be a 435 grain arrow. Now the difference is barred is left wing and flow yellow is right wing. 30 yards. See if there's a difference. So elevation was the same, but it's hard to be super dialed on that. So I'm gonna try that again, but I'm gonna do it on the deer target here. So boom, we're gonna raise that up, shoot it at the deer target because that's just easier for left and right, and try it again. Where do I want to aim? Okay, yeah, that's better. So I just know there's not a difference accuracy-wise between the two, so I don't worry about it. Next test, little fun test, is veins versus feathers, and I'm gonna do slow-mo on this one. I had to change the arrow because I already had this one fletched up and I didn't want to just strip one, but they're a little bit longer, 27.25. The vein arrow overall weighs about 20 grains more because the veins weigh more. But it's a Plastifletch 26 is what it is. So it's about 3 inches, I think about a ½ inch tall. And then the feathers is a 4-inch feather, so there is a little bit of difference there. But most I want to see clearance on the springy. Tip weight's the same, so no differences there. I'm gonna try to do sound, vein versus feather. So I'll shoot feather first and then vein. See if the mic can pick it up. Actually hit the tree on that first shot. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. The arrow that really tuned the best out of the setup was this 600 spine, 26 and 5/8 carbon to carbon, so a little over 26 and a half. 3-fletched 4-inch feather, which I probably will go to vanes because the vanes did shoot really good off the springy, and that'll just be a good choice. It does add a lot of weight to the back, but I have already a lot of point weight, so it's not gonna mess up FOC or anything like that, in my opinion. And then front weight, I have 100 grain insert, 10 grain impact collar, 100 grain fill point, so 210 up front. And yeah, the rest was a little bit left to center. I didn't even adjust that. I'll probably do a tuning type video playing with the springy, just showing what that does, but I'll do that in a separate video. And then total arrow weight for this was 435 grains, which comes out to 10.6 grains per pound. Really, it seems 10 to like 12 grains per pound is awesome for hunting. But at this point, I'll just play with arrows and just kind of find what I like as far as arrow trajectory, point on, and then also you have to have a great tune. So those are really the important things, and really what you got to do is just play with tip weight, different spines, different arrow lengths, and really find what you like for your situation. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll have some more hunting videos coming soon.